So what I had to do, I had to practice harder. I had to practice longer. I had to run hills after practice. I had to build up my strength in what I knew that I was capable of doing.
Tajay Chambers, along with Charleston Girley.
They're being pressure from both sides, so it's a play-action pass. You don't have enough blockers for everybody that's there because you have to bring your tackle down.
No matter what you go through, keep dreaming. Keep going, don't quit, keep reaching. You can be the best you wanna be, gotta believe it. Keep the faith, the mustard seed is all needed. You gotta want it as bad as you breathe. My journey and your journey different, but unique.
Well, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's another day that God has blessed us with. I hope that you are feeling some type of gratitude because remember I said if God has blessed you with the opportunity to place your 2 feet on the ground on this earth yet again, it's an opportunity for you to recognize that you're blessed. Everything may not be going right in your life. Things actually may be going left. But being able to switch your perspective, being able to look at things in a positive aspect rather than a negative is going to be one step forward to you having a good day. And that's my prayer each and every day, every time that I do these episodes, is to give you some type of encouragement, some type of motivation, some type of inspiration, some type of spiritual growth that can help you on your day-to-day. Now, I'm going to do a little something different on today. Typically, when I'm drinking my coffee, I drink it black. No sugar, no nothing. But on today, I got a latte. And the reason being is because I wanted something a little bit more smooth, a little bit more calming, because every day is not a day for me to just come in here and just be yelling at the camera. Now, sometimes I do it because I'm so passionate and the messages that I want to give to you, but I understand sometimes we just need that calming spirit, that calming voice to just kind of help us get through the day. And so that's what I plan to do on this morning. So if you got your coffee, you got your tea, this is going to be a calming cheers. So let's cheers. Now let's get into this episode. So as I walked in on today, getting ready to sit in this beautiful black chair, I saw this chair and I, within my heart, had confidence that when I sat down, this chair was going to support me, okay? Now, the other side of confidence is faith. Faith is I believe in something that I can't see. Typically, we use faith when we're talking about God, believing in Jesus. We can't see him, but we have faith that they exist. We have faith in them. So when you're going through life, when you're trying to pursue your dreams, when you are trying to make different things happen, one of the elements that you need is confidence. You got to have some type of confidence when you are going forward in life and you're trying to make your dreams happen. And so today's topic, today's title is confidence when you're unsure. You're not always going to be sure. You're not always going to be sure that that chair you're about to sit in is going to support you, that that business you're planning to start is going to take off, that relationship that you are getting ready to pursue is going to evolve into marriage. There are going to be moments when you are unsure. And today's lesson, today's episode is going to talk about what to do when you're unsure, but that you can still have the confidence, because confidence knocks down doors. Confidence will get you into rooms that a lot of things can't. And so I really want to help you all understand how to grow your confidence when you feel that you are unsure. Now, on last episode, I kind of gave my age a little bit. I said, I was born in 1993. And, during that time, we didn't have so much technology that we do now. But we had television. And the interesting thing about television, we had cable. Now, when I was super young, I was watching cartoons, things like that. But as I got a little bit older, I was very big into sitcoms. I'm talking about The Cosby Show, Martin, Saved by the Bell, Boy Meets Girl. I love sitcoms. And I would sit there and I would watch them with my brothers, with my cousins. We would have a time. But there was one particular sitcom that I loved, and I'm so glad that they remade it. And once I say it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But it's called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground where I spend most of my days. I'm not going to go too far into the song, but that was one of my favorite sitcoms. And there's a particular episode with a particular scene that I feel like really relates to this lesson. I love finding applicable things that can relate to the episodes. And so there's a particular scene that I'm pretty sure that you know where Will Smith's father was pretty much absent his entire life. And in this episode, his father actually comes back into his life, but then his father like abruptly leaves. And Will Smith in the scene, everybody is gone. He says the famous line, "Why don't he want me no more?" And it was a very heartfelt moment. But the reality is that when he asked that question, there was no answer for it because his dad had left. And so there was doubt. There were unanswered questions. And for his confidence in that moment, it provided he was unsure. He was unsure of why his father didn't want him. And so many times we find ourselves in similar situations where we ask these questions. We have these pondering moments. Why isn't this happening the way that I thought that it would happen? Why isn't this business taking off? Why doesn't this person love me? I've been giving them every bit of me, but they still won't act right. I've been showing up to this job every day, early, leaving late, but I have yet to get a promotion. You have confidence, but there's some unsureness about it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about on today, how to continue to fuel that confidence. Now, when I reflect over my life, there have been many moments where I've had confidence, but there were a few moments in particular where I didn't have as much confidence. I was unsure. And that time in my life was when I was playing college football at Arkansas State. Now, you may think, man, I thought that was a dream that you had accomplished. And you're right. It was a dream that I had accomplished, and I did very well for myself. But the reality is that even when you are doing good, even when you think that a person is accomplishing their dreams, there's an underlying layer where that person is battling different things internally, and that was me. I was battling some different things. You ever hear the saying, big fish in a little pond, little fish in a big pond? That was me. In high school, I grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and I went to Dalloway. That was a very small school. And so God had blessed me with some really good athletic abilities, and so I was really good in high school. Hence, I was the big fish in a little pond. And what that meant is that everybody knew me. My popularity rose to crazy heights. Everybody knew my name. I was doing things that maybe a lot of students couldn't get away with because I had a lot of confidence in that setting. There was no, doubt in my mind during that time. There was no unsureness or anything of that nature because I was big dog on campus. I was making things happen. People knew my name. They were cheering for me and all of these different things. But when I went to college, my environment changed. My scenario changed. I went from being the big fish in a little pond to a little fish in a big pond. Nobody knew my name. Nobody knew who I was. In Division I football, everybody is good. So just as much as I had talent, everybody else had talent, if not better. And remember, I was a walk-on. Now, I wasn't a walk-on because I couldn't play. I made some decisions in high school where I got into a fight, ended up losing potential scholarships, but I still wanted to make my dream happen, so I ended up walking on to the football team to continue to pursue my dream. But again, here I am, a little fish in a big pond, and my confidence started to wane. I started to be unsure about myself, and it really started to weigh in on me where my insecurity started to rise, my anxiety started to rise, my stress started to rise. Because here I am on this team, and I know I want to play. I have confidence that I can play with these guys, but my environment changed, and it affected me. Now I was in a place where I was unsure. I was unsure if I could really keep up with these guys, if I could really play in a Division I, if I could be a starter, if I could earn a scholarship. The confidence that I had in one season at the moment did not translate or transition into a new season, into a new environment. So what happens when you transition and the confidence that you once had now isn't there anymore? And you have these questions. Why not me? Why isn't this happening? What happened? What I had to do is I had to look within. And I had to tell myself, if God brought me to it, He's going to see me through it. God blessed me to be able to make that team. So I had to trust on the inside of me that He wasn't going to let me fail. But the other thing that I had to do, I had to embrace the darkness. I had to face my fears. I had to face my doubt, and I had to work. Confidence is the belief in what I can see. I was lacking a few skill sets. So what I had to do, I had to practice harder. I had to practice longer. I had to run hills after practice. I had to build up my strength in what I knew that I was capable of doing. And all that came down to me working harder, working in the dark, working when nobody could see me, working when nobody was paying attention. The crazy thing is that this light is on, but the light only shows what I've already done in the dark. Let me say that again. The light in your life, it only shows what you have done in the dark. You got to put the work in. You got to build up that confidence. You got to outwork people. You got to do more than the average person is doing. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, what makes you stand out? How can you have confidence if you're doing what everybody else is doing? But when I dialed it back in and I start to do more, I start to show up more. I start to show up for myself. I started to put my shoes on, put my coat on, and go to work. Everything that I started to do in the dark started to build up my confidence. So when the lights came on game day, when the lights came on and I'm playing in the Coliseum, or I'm playing at Trojan Field, I knew what I had did in the dark, so now my confidence had came back. I no longer had these different questions of why not me or why isn't this happening, because I built up that confidence and now I'm not unsure anymore because of what I did in the dark was eventually going to shine in the light. So what's the connecting piece? Maybe you're in a season right now where you're feeling doubtful. You're feeling unsure. You're unsure about pursuing that business. You're doubtful about pursuing that relationship. You are unsure about a lot of different things. My encouragement to you is to learn to take that step. Let's go to the Bible. Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. This is when Peter walks on water. Jesus called out to Peter and told him to get out of the boat. And what Peter had to do, he had to have faith. But not only did he have to have faith, he had to take a step. You got to take a step. When he started to take a step, he kept his eyes on the main thing. He kept his eyes on Jesus, and he was able to walk on water. Now, the moment that he started to shift his focus, hear me well, the moment that he started to shift his focus, he started to sink. So the lesson in this is that first, I got to take the step. If God is calling me out, if God is trying to get me to do something, I got to take the step. I often say, God is in the try. God is in the try. If I am willing to try, God is going to meet me where I need him to meet me. Now, after you take that step, you got to keep your focus. When I was playing ball, I had to keep my focus on ball. When I was starting my businesses, I had to keep my focus on my businesses. A lot of times we run into situations where we allow ourselves to get distracted. Distractions create doubt. Distractions create unsureness. So if I got to have this confidence, if I want to have this confidence, I got to keep the main thing the main thing. I got to keep laser-eyed focus, and I got to be willing to take the step. After I take the step, then God is going to give me the strength. He's going to give me the clarity. He's not going to maybe light the whole pathway, but I got to know that he's going to help me. The other part about this is that when Peter did start to sink, God reached out his hand and pulled him up. So the confidence in knowing that if God is helping me and I'm willing to take the step, I'm willing to try, he ain't going to let me fumble. He ain't going to let me fall. He ain't going to let me fail. So you got to be able to have that confidence within yourself and that confidence in God. Now, there are 3 lessons that I want us to focus in on this lesson when we're talking about confidence, especially in times where we are unsure. So the first lesson is that confidence is built, not born. Don't think that just because you weren't born with confidence that you have some type of default. Confidence is built. When I think back on my football career, I had to build up that confidence. When I became a little fish in a big pond, I had to prove to myself, I had to prove to the other people that I belonged. So I had to build that up. I had to work at it. Remember, I said I had to work in the dark. I had to work a little extra. I had to work a little harder. But once I started to build it up, then I started to be confident. So confidence is built, not born. That's going to be the first principle. The second principle is that your uncertainty is not a weakness, it's a doorway. Your uncertainty is not a weakness, it's a doorway. When I say that it's a doorway, a lot of times we get so upset because we realize the area in which we are lacking. But the reality is that on this earth, we are not perfect. And so your uncertainty is not a weakness, but it's a doorway for God to step in, for God to help you. And so when you have situations or you have areas in your life where you are feeling uncertain, that's the opportunity to invite God in. When you invite God in, God brings in other people to help you. This life is not meant to be walked alone. There are a lot of times in situations where God will provide different people to walk with you, walk beside you, walk ahead of you, and protect you from behind. And so the uncertainty that you're feeling is not a weakness, it's a doorway. That's the second principle. Now, the last principle that I want us to focus on is God doesn't ask you to when you feel ready. God asks you to just believe. When Peter was walking on water, he wasn't necessarily ready, but he believed. He believed in enough in God and was willing to get out there. And so just know everything is not going to align just for you to get out there. So don't feel like you got to be ready. A lot of times we create procrastination because we feel like, man, well, I'm not ready yet, or I need this to happen before I'm willing to do it. No, take the step. Take the step. Remember, I said God is in the try. God is in the try. We cannot leave no stone unturned. I kind of talked about this in season 1, but one of the richest places in the world is the graveyard. So many people die with their dreams, die with their visions, never even pursuing them, whether it be from doubt or maybe it was just because they felt like they weren't ready. But sometimes we got to take the risk. On the other side of the risk is the reward. Learn to do the hard thing. That's one thing that I preach to myself every single day, even though I don't want to, even though it's quite comfortable to do the easy thing, learn to do the hard thing. On the other side of the hardness that you face, that you allow yourself to get through, that's what builds confidence. Because then you can look back and you remember that I did the hard thing. You remember what I did was tough. I remember what I did that maybe a lot of people didn't think that I could do. Maybe even I didn't think that I could do, but I was willing to do it and I was willing to try. So you got to remember to do the hard thing. Now, this week for your homework, there's a couple things that I want you to do. I want you to get back out your journal. Again, I got mine right here with me. And I want you to write down a time when you were confident. The interesting thing about remembering is a lot of times we remember things that we don't. It would be very easy for me to say, hey, remember a time when you didn't have confidence. No, I want you to write down a time that you did. And I want you to reflect over that moment and envision or remember how you felt. Remember what was playing in your mind or what you were doing, where you grinding, where you putting in the work. Whatever it is in that season that you felt confident, I want you to write that because that's going to be the recipe to get you back the confidence that you need for this next season or this next step, this next business venture, this next relationship. Remember when you were confident. Write that down. Reflect over it, meditate, see what all kind of happened, transpired during that time, and see if you can replicate that in the future. Now, I feel like I did a good job on this episode. I kept kind of like a calm in spirit. That was my goal. And I'm glad that I was able to accomplish that. But this week going forward, I just want you to reflect. I don't want you to do too much. I just want you to reflect. Everything is not about grind. Sometimes it's just about reflection and remembering. If I can reflect over different things, if I can remember good things, remember positive things, remember lessons, remember principles, and if I can hone in on all these things, internally I can build up my confidence so that I can continue to go forward. There'll be moments where I'm going to push you to, hey, you got to go. You got to do this. I'm going to push you. But there'll be moments just like today where it's a little bit calming. It's a little bit more relaxing. The last thing that I kind of want to talk to you about is the 3 C's. Christ, creativity, curiosity. Christ, creativity, curiosity. If I know that I am made in the image of God, I'm made in the image of Christ. If he is a creator, then I too am a creator. You are a creator. We are able to create based on the curiosity that we have. In this world, we have curiosity. We are curious about different things. If I'm curious about negative things, then I create a negative environment. If I'm curious about positive things, then I create a positive environment. So if I put God first, if I put Christ first, and I understand that I am a creator just like him, I got to be curious about the good things. I got to be curious about the right things. I got to be curious about what God wants for me and what he has for me. If I come every day and showing up, if I show up for the day curious, God is going to help me to create what he's called me to be. But I got to be curious, and more importantly, I got to show up. Show up today. Show up for your job. Show up for your family. Show up for God. Show up for yourself. If you don't do nothing else, just show up. Just try. And so if you feel like this episode was calming enough for you, if you felt like it was smooth, soothing to your soul, I pray that you share this episode with somebody. I pray that this episode encouraged you. Build back your confidence. Answer those unanswered questions. Be willing to try again and be willing to show up. I pray that this week is amazing to you. As always, keep dreaming.
Jesus.
You got to be able to dream again. After you accomplish that one dream, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to God, you owe it to your family to be able to do it again, to dream again. But when you dream again,